let me introduce today's speaker. We're delighted to have Jim Abramson, who's the Vice President of Product Management at Cvent, here to talk to us about being smarter together, which is leveraging AI to transform meetings and events collaboration. Jim has, prior to his role with Cvent, spent 6 years with Marriott as the Vice President of Mobile and Digital Technology. He's also been with AOL, Sprint, MCI, Anderson Consulting. He's a Hokie, Virginia Tech engineer, but also went to Virginia Tech's Pamplin College of Business. And with that, I'm going to stop my share, and Jim, go ahead and take over and start your share.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that introduction. Really appreciate it. As you can tell, kind of from my background, I'm definitely interested in both technology and hospitality, a strong passion of mine, and excited to talk about AI and what's happening in our industry and with our company. I know some people are certainly aware of who Cvent is. I see some of our customers and partners on the line. I see Amy from Lowe's. I see Tanya from Oracle and Opera. So it's good to see some familiar faces. But for those that aren't as familiar with who Cvent is, wanted you to know that we're really focused on both the hospitality space, whether it's hotels, destinations, unique venues, but a big part, in fact, about 2/3 of our company's business is on the planner side. So really understanding the event organizers, including travel managers as well, but primarily focused on group, or if you're international, on MICE. And so it's really about how do we bring technology to those customer bases. And what we really want to talk about today is around collaboration between the two. So that's what I really wanted to kind of focus on, and how AI is really helping transform that. So walking through some of the things that we're hearing and we're learning, and then show you a few kind of Cvent examples for how we're investing in the space. And when we talk about event organizers, meeting planners, I really wanted to just kind of give you a flavor. There's many of those. And so, obviously your customers, your clients fall into many of these buckets. But for us, we are focused on the third parties and, of course, supporting their clients, direct enterprise accounts, international. We are a global company. About almost 15% of our business comes from around the globe, as well as social. So whether it's wedding planners or other types of events, could be at universities, golf courses, different types of unique event spaces. So really, this is what drives, I guess, what we call our ecosystem, and the flywheel of collaboration with hotels, venues, and destinations. And so when we think about how we're investing and now investing with AI in a big way, we really look at kind of three key areas, when we think about collaboration. Number one is improving engagement with those planners. So how do we connect hotels and destinations with event planners? And that's what we're going to kind of talk most about today. Second is around being more productive. Everybody has been going through, I've got to do more with less. I've got less staff and newer staff, new people coming on board that may not know the space like people historically have. So we need them to be more productive. And then finally is around data-driven decisions. How do we help people make more of those data-driven decisions? And AI is going to be a big part of that. And by the way, I know Frank mentioned questions. Feel free to please ask in the chat. I did see from Rao, there's a Wahoo out there, there's some Cavaliers out there. So expected there to be some good discussions. All right, so continuing on. Just again, for those people that aren't aware of the breadth of kind of the platform that we have, and so when we talk about AI, we want to think about all of these areas, and it's really in four key buckets. One is around working with hotels and suppliers, attract business. So get me in front of those planners so that I have a swing at the plate, using the baseball analogy from our conversation earlier. So I want to be able to get in front of them on the Cvent supplier network. The Cvent supplier network is where event organizers, planners come to find where they're going to have their event, and hotels want to get in front of them to be found and connected with them to get their RFP for their event. Once they get their RFP, they want to be able to convert that business, responding through proposals, helping them stand out, ultimately win their business. And you'll see kind of how we're thinking about AI to help bridge some of that. Once they win the business, help them manage their business, diagramming out the space, managing room blocks, all those things that we need to be able to connect those two with to bring the event to life, and then ultimately measuring the performance. So I wanted to share this just to give a little context around as I'm talking about AI, the product areas that we cover. All right, so when we think about AI, we're all here, don't need to belabor the point, but I will say we just had our Cvent Connect annual customer conference in London last week. We had about 1,500 customers, about 1,000 event planning professionals, and about 500 hospitality professionals. And everybody is talking about AI, as you can imagine, but there is a range of where people are. Some are pioneering and they're really pushing, they're very tech forward. Others are on the other end of the spectrum. They're just like, wow, this is like science fiction. What's going on? Where do I start? How do I lean in and help my staff? How do I lean in and help my company stand out or my hotel stand out? And then a lot of people kind of in between. So we're all kind of early innings, but everybody is looking for, how do I help stand out and how do I help my staff be more productive? And leaning in and experimenting and iterating is where people's mindsets are at this point now. Put together this slide just to share what we've been hearing, both from the planners and hoteliers, to really sort of set the stage for the key dynamics that we're seeing as we enter into 2026. So I'll spend a little bit of time on this slide. So both planners and hoteliers, highly dependent on tech, and their budgets are tight. And I mentioned earlier, but newer and fewer staff. So this is really important, especially as we look to the Gen Zs, the millennials that are coming on, that really are expecting technology to be there. I heard from a DOSM, a director of sales and marketing, recently, and he was like, we've got these new people coming on, the 20-somethings, and they're expecting to get stuff done in like 20, 30 minutes, not spending 2 or 3 hours on some of these things. That technology is just really more of a burden for them. So they're like, all right, we need to solve this problem and believe AI can help. So customers are looking for direction on how to leverage AI. Where do we lean in? Where do we start? And how do we stay relevant? If people are going to AI to look for answers, look for advice, how do hotels kind of stay relevant in there? Third is AI is a disruptor and a huge opportunity. And this is true for existing businesses that are out there, companies like ourselves, companies like yourselves, but there's a lot of new tech companies popping up, new ideas, new things popping up because it's easier to get started. There's fewer barriers. And then going to the fourth point, but there are still unique opportunities, competitive advantages for people. And that's really built around the data that you have, proprietary, unique data that you have, unique content that you have, integrations that you have. Those are things that are harder. If you're a startup, if you're new, you don't have that history of data, or you don't have that rich content, you don't have those integrations. So those are things that we should look at as in our industry. How do we leverage that to give ourselves an advantage? And this all is about enabling personalized user experiences. You've probably been using, or at least hearing that word a lot. Make it personalized. Help me connect with an organization, with a meeting opportunity, to be able to say, look, I want to be able to have that unique type of experience for my customers, for my clients, so that they'll come and stay with me or have their event at my hotel or destination. And then finally, is AI going to take jobs? Is it going to help us be more productive? Is it going to help us have the new competitive advantages? It helps us do new things that we hadn't otherwise thought of, more value. I believe, and we believe, and what we've been talking to people, is that this is going to give our industry a boost. This is going to expand our opportunity. It's going to help us spend more time with clients, help us be more productive, doing more with less, but adding more value. than we ever have before. So lean in and find out how it's going to be able to give you that competitive advantage. All right. So I mentioned this, but I just wanted to call it out one more time, is that the millennials, the Gen Zs, have these high technology expectations. We need to lean in and make sure that we're thinking about not just what we've done in the past, what we used to do, but how are we going to look forward and bring new technology to the forefront. All right. There's four things that, as we look at AI in our industry, that are really going to be important for us to focus on. So number one is around content. I mentioned it. This is the fuel for AI. How do we make sure that we've got the right content to not be able to just give links to come over to find us, but to be able to give the answers, to be able to give the advice, the things that event organizers are looking for is help with my meeting. And it's not just a list of amenities that you might have at your hotel, but it's how are you going to be able to deliver the best experience, a unique experience, an Instagrammable moment at the hotel or venue or destination. And that folds into personalization. How do we give the not just the best experience, but a unique experience that they've not had before, something different that they've had, in personalization in terms of not just the event as well, but the proposal that you might give. And it's not just about rates, but it's about the experience. It's about the service. And AI can also be more personalized because you have the history of that event organizer or that their company, their organization, the client themselves. So to be able to have that unique experience. Third, around data and insights, AI is going to be able to help go find some of those insights, those nuggets that will be able to help identify areas of opportunity for you. And as well as summarize. One things we hear is that we've got so much data out there. How do I glean, get access to that and glean those unique insights? And AI can summarize that. So there's a great opportunity there. And productivity, I think, is the one that people talk the most about. And so I think productivity is one that is what we're seeing now. Help me save time doing my tasks, reducing my manual tasks, giving me time back in the day. And so that's clearly a key one. So these are kind of the four areas that AI gives opportunities for. And then in terms of the pain points that we hear, I'm sure you'll probably look at this list and nod on many of these, maybe all of these, but I won't read every single one. But I hear lots of people say, I've got too many RFPs. I've got a high volume of these. I need to prioritize them. But I'm getting a lot, but are they qualified? Are they things that I want to bid on, or am I going to turn down? And there's slower response times. We know that planners have high expectations, and many hotels are looking at response time because those who respond faster and better or accurate tend to win more. We see about 2/3 of our awarded business comes from the first three responders. So the response times is definitely something that matters. And bid rates. And we're seeing bid rates increasing, which is great, but there have been historical kind of low bid rates over the last few years. And so planners are like, I'm sending these RFPs. Am I getting bids back? Or am I even getting a response at all? So a number of these things are pain points that we hear and want to make sure that AI can be added kind of to the mix to help. And we're not seeing this. I know I've been spending a lot of time kind of talking about sales and marketing, RFPs, winning business, but it's not just sales and marketing. So we hear and we talk to every area of the organization. IT, is this secure? I don't want PII floating around in spreadsheets and emails. Obviously, all the operations teams around catering and reservations want to be able to help make sure that I'm getting the business coming in and the meeting space is able to meet the needs. I'm able to activate it with this, beautiful experience. And same thing with the reservation team. So we're really looking across the board. And just for Cvent, in case you hear the word or the term Cvent IQ, we've leveraged this term to be able to say it's about AI, the technology, but it's not just the technology itself. It's the technology plus the experience that we bring, plus the unique data and content and insights that we have. And so this is our brand that we announced in the summer this year. But I think for everybody here is, how do you leverage this technology with your uniqueness about whether it's your hotel, your venue, your brand, your brand is what people really think about in terms of their experience, and your expertise and the data that you have about your events and your customers. How do you package that all together into something that customers want? And then I guess the last thing before I jump into a few examples are, hopefully by now, many of you have heard the term AI agents or agents of agents, like a super agent. And so what we're doing, and what I think many of you either are starting to do or will be doing soon, is building these AI agents to be able to go and do the function of what a person does today. So a digital assistant that can really go and handle many of the tasks. So whether it's an AI agent to help build an RFP or build a proposal, or an AI agent that can go out and find prospects for your sales team to reach out to, or build the perfect meeting space and show it in 3D, or build out the perfect room block for what the organizer was asking for. So many agents out there to be able to make recommendations as well as create unique experiences. All right, so I wanted to give you a few examples, and I'll kind of just focus on Cvent Supplier Network here. Just to level set, so if you're not familiar with what the Cvent Supplier Network is, I'll just kind of show you real quick, and then we'll get into the AI component. But basically, there's a search experience. Planner comes in, and they're looking for their event. They type in some information. They can do some filtering. There's a map. They can scroll down and see different content, search results. It's a very traditional kind of search experience, I'll call it. And then there's a venue profile. You can click into a venue. You can see various multimedia. You can scroll down on the profile, see pieces of information about the venue, about the hotel. You can see floor plans. You can see rooms in 3D. You can see things nearby. All kinds of stuff that you would expect in a normal search, ratings and reviews, etc. And once you find the venues that you're looking for, you add them to your cart, and then you create an RFP that you send to them. So the RFP includes things about your event, your location, your number of attendees, the dates, your meeting space requirements, all of those kinds of things. And what I wanted to share with you is what we're doing to essentially disrupt and change that experience. You probably heard the phrase, AI is changing the game. Well, venue discovery is changing. The way that planners are looking to find venues is changing. The RFP workflow itself is changing. So there's a number of investments that you have to make in order to meet the changing needs of these clients. And so these are things that we're doing here, making the user experience different, that I'm going to kind of show you. There's SEO and now GEO. Hopefully many of you are familiar with SEO, search engine optimization, but GEO, generative engine optimization, is how are you found when people are out there looking for you on the LLMs, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Anthropic, etc. And if you have a good SEO strategy, you're about 70% of the way there. Then the rest needs to kind of come from new content that you're adding, looking to have the content in, I'll call it, not just a list of your amenities, but in words that can be answering questions for what people are looking for. And that includes adding more content, more unique content. And in the future, people are not going to be finding you just on Google, but the LLMs as well. So for us, we're looking at how we invest in sort of three key buckets: our core platform on the Cvent Supplier Network, our brand new AI first platform that I'm going to show you here in just a minute, and then working with the LLMs, working with the ChatGPTs and Perplexities of the world. So how do we get plugged in there, not just our own, let's call it, walled garden, but extending into applications of the LLMs as they advance. So the way we kind of think about what's happening right now is we'll call it AI assisted. So we're adding AI into our existing products, search, RFPs, proposals, etc. And so our natural language search is something that we've added in a beta right now. We're doing a lot of experimenting. We've added in a beta. And right now, this is basically letting the organizer, in their own words, type out what they're looking for. So you can kind of see the example here, but it's not just a traditional search with a location and filter. It's the user using their natural language capability. As I mentioned, this is kind of in a beta right now, but what this does is it lets them type in what they're looking for, so they're not hunting around in the filters. And this is our kind of our first AI assisted experience that we created. And one of the things that I think is a really interesting learning is what people are searching. And you see different types of ways that people are searching. So you can kind of see the top bullets we put in here. You know, it's kind of the way that I would say people historically think. It's in these kind of shorter little bursts. But the one that I find really interesting, and we've got other examples of this, is the last bullet. You know, find me a unique place, venue, restaurant in Vancouver that seats 70, 80 people close to this, you know, with a beautiful view and has a unique feature. This is how people talk. This is how people are starting to think. And this is where we see things going as things become more conversational. So that's the area where we're investing right now. And that what we're all seeing and experiencing ourselves on the chat GPTs of the world is it's more conversational. It really captures the intent of what the planner is looking for. And you're really looking for, I've said this, you know, answers, advice, recommendations. So we are now in an active sort of small closed beta for what we call our AI recommended venues. So the event organizers, the planners, come to this new experience and they use it in a completely different paradigm. So let me show you kind of what it looks like, and then I'll pause here in a little bit or in a minute. So imagine you're a US planner and you're sourcing in Europe, and maybe you've not been there before. And so you're not really sure which city to choose before you start looking for venues. So what they want is they're going to want recommendations. So maybe they type in something like historic cities in Europe for a 200-person corporate event. So we'll take that and we'll bring back some recommendations. Barcelona, Florence, London, and they can kind of click through and kind of get some inspiration for where they might want to have it. So let's say they click into London, for example, and then you're going to see a whole set of attributes, but also written out text, imagery. People are really drawn to imagery as well, but that rich content that lets them decide on the destination first. Once they've locked in the destination, they want to start looking for venues. So they would simply ask, you know, help me find the best venues in London for my event. We put it in these different categories that resonate with what a user might be looking for. And then in this case, they click into popular venues to be able to go and kind of see the recommendations based on what the planner has provided for in the chat so far. Of course, there's going to be profiles that they'll be able to click through. But the key thing here is why we're recommending these venues. So we want to be able to make sure there's a very clear written out part of the conversation that shares, here's why we're recommending the venue. Maybe you've had somebody in your organization visit there before. Maybe the event that you're looking for, other events like that have been done at this hotel. So lots of different unique data that we have, as well as what the hotel provides in terms of their unique story, imagery, and content. So anyway, I'll show one more thing just to complete this, and then I'll kind of stop and open it up for questions. So now that you've found what you're looking for, I want to get into the RFP, and as a planner, be able to go and build out my RFP as quickly as possible. So they can go in, generate their agenda, which is the most time-consuming part, be able to put this entire agenda in. They can upload, they can copy and paste, and they can create their agenda in a matter of few number of minutes. And that's one thing that from a hotel I've also heard is a benefit, is because instead of that being emailed as a Word doc or some other kind of document, now that comes over to the hotel, and instead of having to manually type it into your sales and catering system, now it flows through directly into your system for those that are integrated to be able to get that flowing through. And we're going to do that for the full RFP as well, not just the agenda. I said I was going to pause here, but last thing I'll just show you real quick is around 3D, and having a 3D diagram of the space with a chat-based event designer for anybody, especially new people that are not as familiar with a hotel or with a space to be able to imagine what their event's going to look like to help them walk through. And we'll leverage AI to be able to go and help you chat, type in size of the room, types of tables, number of chairs at the tables, tablecloth color, types of chairs, all different kinds of things that will be able to be seen and learned. And so AI will help you find the venue. AI will help you fill out the RFP faster. AI will help you diagram out the space. And I'm kind of out of time here, so I'll pause. But same thing with the proposal. Help you respond faster. Help you answer custom questions. Help you fill out and get recommendations for the meeting space that meets the events. All kinds of things where it can either be AI assisted to help you with your current process, or AI first, where you're building something brand new from scratch that can give you a unique advantage, leveraging your data and your content. All right, so I'll go ahead and stop there and see if anybody has any questions.
Great.